Hi everyone, my name is Brandalyn Gorman and I am just going to make this video because I want to tell you my testimony about recovering from adrenal fatigue. So if you're already watching this, you've probably maybe heard of adrenal fatigue, you're trying to get some more information about adrenal fatigue, or maybe, I don't know, whatever you're here, I'm glad you're here. And what I would like to do on this video is talk about my symptoms and what brought me to getting help and the treatment that I took. In another video, I want to talk about the build up to the perfect storm of adrenal fatigue. So that will be in a part 2 video, because that plays a huge part into adrenal fatigue, because adrenal fatigue is not just something that happens like a cold or the flu or whatever. It is actually a buildup of numerous things. So I would like to be very transparent with that testimony, but again, for this video, this is just going to be basically about my symptoms and what I did for treatment, and well, that's about it. So anyway, so my name is Brandalyn Gorman, and a little bit about me. First and foremost, I am a child of God. I am a wife, and I am a mother of 4 children. So their ages right now are 9, 8, almost 6, and almost 4. Yeah. So I always laugh because having 4 children, you know, I always get, wow, your hands are busy. Wow. You know, time flies. You know, I think I'm about 1 kid away from people asking me to make furniture for them. I don't know. But anyway, okay, so let's talk about adrenal fatigue. So, what is adrenal fatigue? Well, first let me back up and say I was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue, and I think it was around January of 2007. So it's been about 3.5 years ago. And it was a very, very scary time. So if you are feeling very afraid right now, it's understandable. This is my story. I'm not here to debate medical issues and symptoms and things like that. I really just want to talk about me and my story, my testimony, and what my symptoms were and what I did. So adrenal fatigue is different for everybody because everybody's lives are different. So it's not just having children, it's not just about a divorce, it's not just about a death in the family, it's not just about a stressful job. There is a lot of other factors that go in with it. But let's see, I never even heard of adrenal fatigue, much less I didn't even know we had adrenal glands until all of this, right? So apparently they're just some little walnut little glands that sit on top of your kidneys. Other terms that you might hear about adrenal fatigue, AFS, it's adrenal insufficiencies, it's adrenal burnout, however you want to look at it. So here's some things that I read when I got online and I started looking up adrenal fatigue. I'm going to go onto another website here. This is kind of some of the stuff that I've read. Adrenal fatigue isn't an accepted medical diagnosis. It is a lay term applied to a collection of non-specific symptoms. I don't know, mine was pretty specific. Such as body aches. I didn't experience body aches. Fatigue, that's not even the correct word, fatigue. It was like a Mack truck has hit me and I can never get back up. Nervousness. I really wasn't nervous just because, well, I was nervous in the sense of I didn't know what was going on with me. Sleep disturbance. Yeah, I was tired all day and couldn't sleep at night. Sound familiar? Okay. And digestive issues. I get that because, well, that kind of goes in more with like your food, and if you can't give your body right nutrients, and if you have like leaky gut, that's literally like leaks in your gut and all your nutrition falls out. If you're not giving your body the proper fuel that it needs, then yeah, it can burn out. So again, they listed them again as fatigue, body aches, unexplained weight loss. Yeah, I wish mine was more weight gain or the loss. I could not lose weight. Low blood pressure, lightheadedness, yes. Loss of body hair, no. Skin discolorization, that didn't happen to me. Adrenal insufficiency can be diagnosed by blood test and special stimulation test that shows inadequate levels of adrenal hormones. Not really that I'm aware of, because when you read on other websites, they will say that there's not a blood test and there's not a way to detect this. That's because if there's any Western doctors out there watching this, I'm sorry. I don't mean any disrespect. I'm just going to say that the Western medical field has not embraced adrenal fatigue, and they will look at Addison's disease and Cushing's disease and things like that, but adrenal fatigue, not so much. So anyways, first of all, what I want to let you know that something that I tend to tell people quite a bit is you're not crazy. You might feel crazy and you might be a little nutty, but you're not crazy. And I'm here to tell you there is hope. You're not crazy. There is light. Okay? Okay, so for me, let's talk a little bit. Again, this is my story. So for me, I was always stressed out, and that's saying it very mildly. My adrenal glands were constantly firing. So what happens is when your adrenal, okay, I'm going to get a little bit nerdy here. So what your adrenals do is they have a ton of hormones that they use. And so my adrenal glands were firing adrenaline and cortisone all the time. So finally they just gave up. Okay. They just quit, which what happens is it calls my whole entire endocrine system. That's the word you need to look up. It's endocrine system, and look at that. It caused my whole entire endocrine system to go out of whack. Okay. So, so the rest of my endocrine system had to pick up the pace. My thyroid, my pituitary, my hypothalamus, even my ovaries to my bladder, everything was completely messed up by the time I got help. Okay, so apparently there are 4 stages. Okay, stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. In stage 3, there are 4 phases. So if you look up Dr. Lam, L-A-M, Dr. Lam, let me go over here. Okay. So if you go to Dr. Lam, and the website is drlamcoaching.com. Okay, so he has got fabulous information about adrenal fatigue. Scope out his website. So again, there are we'll really just look at everything. He really lays it down. I believe one of the things that you can go to is, oh shoot. Let's see. I think you go to adrenal fatigue. Go to concepts. And then you can go, read the myths, 20 common myths about adrenal fatigue. Read that. And then you need to go to the different phases, 4 stages of adrenal fatigue. Okay, read those. Those are, if you can get through kind of the nerdy medical stuff of it, it's got great information and it helps. When I finally got help, I was at stage 3, phase B. And I think I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. So, okay, so for me, okay, yeah, so stage 3, phase B, therefore, when you get to stage 4, you're pretty much bedridden. That's right, this is real. So if you're dealing with adrenal fatigue, this is real. They actually did a study where they took out adrenal glands from cats and they just died because we needed to balance out our lives. So if we have to rush out, and so say your kid like falls in the swimming pool and you have to rush over there and get them, like your adrenaline picks up and you get them, and when you get done, you dry your kid off and you know they're alive, you just kind of sit back and be like, okay, so adrenal fatigue for me was just constantly on all the time. I was stressed out all the time. So again, my adrenaline glands were just firing boom, boom, boom all the time, and they never gave up till finally they just died. Okay, so when I got to help, my adrenal glands were flatlined. They were dead. We literally had to resurrect them, okay? It did not happen overnight, and you need to understand that. This is not an overnight deal. This is not take a couple of pills and call me in the morning kind of situation. I am still going at this, and it's 3.5 years later. If you recovered a lot easier and a lot faster, that is awesome for you. But my adrenals were completely dead. You understand that? Dead. I was 2 phases away from being bedridden because my body literally thought it was dying. It thought it was dying. It was preparing and it was preserving my body. That is why I would have crashes. Okay? So my body I would go down and I would be out anywhere from a half a day from like days. Okay? That is scary. That is scary for anybody. I'm a very upbeat person. I love life. I love people. And most people had no idea how I was doing it or what I was doing. But it was kind of a closet thing for me. I didn't really talk about it a lot because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. It was new. Most people hadn't heard of it. And I don't know. I don't know about you, but for me, I'm pretty transparent. But if it gets too big, I kind of have a tendency just to kind of lay down and lay low and just kind of not talk about it, which is not good to do. Get help. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about my personal symptoms. My mental health was, I thought I was going crazy. Crazy. I know I had 4 kids, and that's enough to make anybody feel a little batty, but I thought I was going nutty. I remember there was a time in my life where I remember laying in bed thinking, this is it. I'm going to end up in a psychiatric ward, and who's going to raise my kids? It's kind of funny now a little bit, but literally I know that if you're in this situation right now, it is not funny right now at all. And again, I'm here to tell you that you're not crazy. You're not crazy. You might be a little nutty right now, but you're not crazy, okay? Because that's exactly how I felt, okay? I was scared because I had no idea what was going on with me. I was terrified. This was not who I was. This was not who I am. You know, I went outside and I volleyed the ball back and forth with a teenage girl one time, and I was in bed for 3 days. That's not me. Before I get married, I could run 5 miles on a treadmill. I loved working out. I loved all of that. Okay. I am not a depressed person, but I felt depressed. Not because I just wanted to die and kill myself. Not that kind of depression, but I just felt closed in. Okay? That's also a spiritual battle, which I will go into on part 2. However, it still was happening, and that was my reality. I would end up in bed sometimes. I could not get out of bed. So they call it fatigue, but fatigue is a very mild word. When you feel like, literally, I felt like I had a Mack truck hit me and I could not get up. I would be in bed anywhere from a half a day to 5 or 6 days at a time. Sometimes when I was pregnant, which I only chalked it up as being pregnant, I don't know how people would keep going to work because I could not get off the couch. I would exude myself, which I didn't even think I was exuding myself because I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But yet I would be on the couch or in bed or whatever for days and days and days. It was very scary for me. And those are called crashes, okay? When I say I couldn't get out of bed, it took every bit of energy to get up and go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, showering. There was no washing hair and shaving legs at the same time. That was way too much energy. And to blow dry my hair, my niece would come over and say, Brandalyn, when's the last time you washed your hair? I'd say, I don't know. And she's like, go take a shower. I mean, it was that bad because I couldn't do it. I remember one time waking up for Christmas, and we woke up and had Christmas morning, and then I was asleep for almost the rest of the day. And that's sad. And that's scary. Okay. During pregnancy, I know I touched on this a little bit, but I would crash for days. And you need a support group. At the time, my sister would come over and she would stay with me and she would help and she would take the kids, and it was a blessing. I was extremely tired all day, but you can't sleep at night. Does that sound familiar? Because my mind would just go and I couldn't shut it down. But it was also because my endocrine system and your hormones, my hormones were completely whacked up. So I would be thinking I could sleep all day, but you can't because you're trying to keep little people alive, right? Like you have little humans that you're trying to raise and keep alive and feed them and love them and play with them, but that was secondary. Like right now we're in survival mode. I had to survive. So I couldn't sleep. So I was tired all day and I couldn't sleep at night. So therefore, when you don't get enough sleep, or if you're anything like me, and you're very cranky, I need my sleep. You cannot restore if you cannot rest. Sleep is very, very, very important. Okay. So because I couldn't sleep all the time, I was very nervy. I was very cranky. I was not coming down from being nervy and angry all the time. I was mad all the time. Anytime. So, okay. So I'm going to tell you. So at this time, my kids were, so in my head, so when I got diagnosed, my kids were 6, 4, 2, infant, somewhere around there. Okay, so that's still pretty close. So they're all young, right? So I had 4 kids in 5 years. So I was always angry. Always angry all the time. I was frustrated all the time because anytime they made a mess, it was something that I had to do. Again, I was in survival mode. There was no need for being nice and playing. I couldn't do any of that. I was just mad all the time because I was tired all the time. I was so hateful to my husband, and I was so hateful to my kids because it was almost like I couldn't control my emotions. Some of the things that I said, I wish I could take back. They were very hateful. I've prayed, I've repented, I've prayed over my kids. I would say things like, why in the world would God give me 4 kids? I mean, really. And I would say that in front of them. I mean, I hate that now. I hate that I would say that and they would hear me say that. But I'm telling you, that was not me. That was not who I am. That was the adrenal fatigue and the symptoms and what I was dealing with talking. So I don't know if that makes you feel better because you haven't said such horrible things like that, but I've really had to repent for that and really try to prayerfully do damage control with that. No kid should ever feel like that. Okay, so I was also very mad at my husband because he wasn't there. So my husband works out of town most of the time. He's out on the oil field. So I always felt very abandoned by him, which is also being part 2 over the buildup of it. But that is how I felt. And as legitimate as that is, that's not truth, but that is how I felt. That was my reality. I was very mad at him because he wasn't there to help me. So again, when you're stressful and you feel stressed out all the time, your adrenal, so they were just firing. So there was no reserve for me. So normally when you feel like, you're like, okay, so you're kind of bugging me. Okay, now you're frustrating me. Okay, now you're getting on my nerves. Okay, now I'm about to blow a gasket, right? But to me, I was always at that right here all the time. There was no reserve. There was no reserve. So I was constantly mad. So when the kids got water on the bathroom floor, to me, it was something else that I had to clean up. It was something else that I had to do. And that was very frustrating to me. Instead of like now, I just throw a towel on the floor. I call it mopping up the bathroom. And we just kind of call it a day. I fussed at him a little bit and it's whatever. It is what it is, right? But for me, then it was like as if a dam had broken in the bathroom and now I had to go back and repair it. So that's how it felt at the time. I also felt very dizzy and lightheaded. That's something else because you're tired, you're fatigued, probably your blood sugar's down. When I was staying up, I would see stars. Muscle loss. Yeah, because your body's trying to prepare and it would start eating. It felt like it was like eating at my muscles. So I was losing everything. My body was going into preserve. It was preserving because it thought it was dying. Okay. I basically felt pregnant, but not pregnant. Okay. That's kind of that's the sentence that I used to my cousin when she was like, oh my gosh, my friend feels the same way. I'll get to that in just a minute. So I craved a lot of sugar and salty foods. I couldn't lose weight. Even though I had babies back to back. I couldn't lose weight again because my body was preserving everything and it wouldn't let go of any fat. I'm like, okay, we're fine now. We can lose it. My worst crush ever. This was probably the eye-opener for me. I don't know if you've had a crush this bad. It wasn't necessarily the longest crush for me. There was times where I would be in bed for a couple of days again. But I think this was the most emotionally worst crash that I had. I woke up one morning and I think my kids, okay, so my kids were probably 4, 3, what were they? Yeah, well, so I had my last baby the 1st of September. So maybe 5, 4, 2-ish still. Okay. And then the baby was like a newborn, like a couple of months old. So I remember waking up and I couldn't get out of bed. So I crashed and hit and I was stuck in bed. Like there was no getting up. And I remember at this moment I was so tired, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all the things. I was tired. And I remember picking up my phone. And I remember first of all, I remember hearing my kids just running amok in the house and I had no control over it. I remember texting my husband. I wouldn't talk to him on the phone. So this is kind of where that depression thing kind of set in. And I remember picking up my phone. I was texting him and I called him every unholy thing in the world because I was mad and I was hurt. In my reality, I felt abandoned and I was mad because he wasn't here to help me. And I'm trying to raise 4 babies all on my own. Who does that? You know, and I was very frustrated with him and I was very mad at him and I was very hurt at him. Again, that wasn't truth. That was just what I was going through at the time. I didn't have any support. And I remember mustering up enough strength to get out of bed. And I remember looking around the house and there was cereal everywhere. There was cereal in the bedroom. There was cereal in the bathroom. There was cereal everywhere. The house was a wreck. The bathroom was a wreck. There was toilet paper everywhere. There was soap everywhere because I couldn't supervise. I couldn't be a mom. I was stuck in bed feeling like I was going to die. I could not get up. And I remember just feeling so frustrated and so mad because I couldn't do anything about it. Okay? And I guess the Holy Spirit must have intervened and my husband called our cousin and called my sister and like, what is going on with Brandolyn? She won't return my calls. She won't talk to me. I don't even know what he said. All I know is my sister showed up and she didn't understand at the time what was going on. And I remember feeling such judgment because what are you doing? Get out of bed. What is wrong with you? Kind of looks. Now she completely understands. And now, you know, she is one of my biggest, my biggest supporters and my fans as far as like recovering from it, and she totally gets it now. But then she didn't. And my cousin did. She kind of got it because, again, her friend was kind of going through the same thing. And they came over and they took the kids, all but the newborn, because I didn't have any milk stored up yet. So, and I remember thinking, so now that the stressors were removed, and I hate calling my kids that, but at the time, that was what it was. I was trying to keep them alive and function, and I couldn't do both. So once they kind of left the house, I remember kind of getting it together and taking a shower and sitting down and having some time to myself and collect and breathe. That's when I knew something had to give. That was probably one of my first emotional crashes. Again, it wasn't the worst, like as far as being there the longest, but anyways. Okay, so so I was at the chiropractor and I remember saying the phrase, I was talking to my cousin and I was like, I feel pregnant, but I'm not pregnant. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's what my friend's going through. And she's been going to this doctor that's really been helping her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, sign me up. So I totally got the information and I got him a call and I set up an appointment, and I remember my biological clock. Okay, so this was 3 years ago. So, okay, I'm going to be real transparent now. I'm 45 right now. So I was about 42. So, and he said my biological clock was somewhere in the high 50s. So my body was really run down. It was really bad at the time. I started my treatments. And I'm going to say, I started feeling better in a couple of weeks. I will also say that when I started the treatments and the road that I took, well, I'll talk about in just a second, I knew in my heart, I knew in my spirit that this was the road that I needed to take. But I didn't have my family on board yet. They were very skeptical because it was a very alternative medicine, holistic approach. They were still kind of judgmental. They were like, you need to go get a blood test. So you know what? I went to go get a blood test. You know what? Nothing showed up. It showed my thyroid was off a little bit, and that's it. So I did it to pacify them. That's the only thing that showed up. So I'm not real big on getting your blood tests. It just didn't. I mean, I was at stage 3, phase B, remind you, and nothing showed up on a blood test. So, again, another reason why I'm glad that I took the path that I did, because when I did go to my doctor and I did tell her how I was feeling early on, a couple of years before, they gave me an antidepressant. I'm not depressed, and you're probably not either. I got antidepressant, and then at one point she's like, "Oh, you just need some EPA in your go to the store and pick you up some EPA." That was not the right move. They don't take it serious because they don't know. She's a brilliant doctor. Wrong. You don't want to be on antidepressants because you don't know what's going to be happening long run. Like you're going to have like kidney failure later on. I don't know. Not saying that all medicine is bad. I'm just saying that that was not the right move. Okay. So, here I am, diagnosed around either December 2016 or January 2017. I can't remember, but I'm still seeing him today. And, are we back on? Okay, my phone rang. Okay, so I'm still seeing him today, and hindsight 2020, I would do it again. I love hearing people's hindsights because would you buy that product again? Would you do that again? You know, and I am here to tell you, if it was for me, I felt like he literally saved my life. Had I not got help, I would have died. I'm certain of that. Okay? That's how bad off it was. I believe 100% that God created our bodies to heal. I believe He gave us everything on this earth to make our bodies heal naturally. I don't see Him taking us to the promised land and saying, here's everything you need, and then there's a CVS. I'm sorry. I am not a huge fan of pharmaceuticals. I'm not saying that our family never, ever, 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 ever using them. That's not true, but we do treat most things at home, and I think our bodies are better for it. That being said, yeah, I think our bodies are made to heal. And so the doctor that I go to is, he is a holistic doctor. And he is a alternative doctor, however you want to talk it. He did nutrition response testing, and that is with your arm. It's kind of like an antenna, and it kind of tells your body what you need and what you don't need. I know that sounds completely crazy, but it saved my life. Look it up if you want to. There's a lot of information out there, false information out there. I am a Christian, and I love Jesus Christ with all my heart, soul, and strength, and I have complete peace about doing it because I believe that He's created our bodies to be magnificent, and I believe our bodies will tell us what we need and what we don't need, okay? Again, that's between you and God, what you decide to do. Okay, so one of the things that I did besides take natural, organic supplements to build up, and I'm going to tell you, I started feeling better within weeks. I started feeling better. One of the major things that I did was I cleaned house. And by that, I mean I cleaned house and I got rid of as much chemicals as I can. I am an avid Young Living user, Young Living essential oils, but they also have cleaners. I got rid of the blue soap underneath because when you use chemicals on your hands, it goes into your body. Then your body has to decipher what it's going to do with it. And I knew that my bodies and your bodies cannot heal when it's always trying to decipher what to use and what not to use. And I needed my bodies to focus on healing and not processing and trying to discard things that my body did not need. So I cleaned house. I found healthy meats to eat, as clean as possible, organic as possible, no hormones, chemicals, all of that. Like I said, I try to do as organic as I can, or as I could. I get rid of the chemicals as I could. Okay, so here's a cycle that I was on back then too, so I was tired all the time, so I would fix quick, easy meals, frozen pizzas, going out, nuggets, all the stuff, pizza, whatever it is. Because we're in survival mode at this point, and I have 4 humans that I'm trying to keep alive right now, and I just need them to eat, okay? But here's what happens. So we're going to talk about your frequencies a little bit. So our bodies are alive. I'm not going to get all weird and talk about energies in our bodies, but our bodies are energy, and they're frequencies. So I'm going to go over here, hold on, and we're going to talk a little bit about frequencies. So frequencies is a measurable rate of electrical energy that passes a fixed place in a set amount of time. It is constant between any two given points. Frequency is measured in hertz and megahertz. The hertz measurement is the number of waves that passes by per second. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this looks a little nerdy. So let me just say this. So a healthy body runs at about, hold on. A healthy body runs on about 62 to 78 megahertz, okay? While death is 25 megahertz. So when you're sick, your body runs at about 40s or 50s megahertz, okay? So we need to especially when we're not feeling well, we need to put live food in our body. Live food, not processed food. So again, flu symptoms, you're at 57 megahertz. Cancer, you're at 42 megahertz. So let's see, canned food is 0 megahertz, okay? And then you got fresh foods is 20 to 27. And dry herbs, 15 to 22. Fresh herbs, 20 to 27. Coffee, listen to this, holding a coffee, okay, so I'm such a hypocrite in this. Okay, holding a cup of coffee lowers your frequency by 8 megahertz. Okay. Holding a cigarette can decrease the frequency by 14. Okay, smoking decreases your frequency by 24. Negative thoughts decrease your frequency up to 12 megahertz. A positive thought increases frequency by 10. Listen to this, children of God. Prayer increases your frequencies by 15 megahertz. Read your Bible. It's alive. Okay, so let's go in to talk about food. So when you're tired and your body frequency is really, really low, okay, and then you put dead food on top of that has no nutrition value, and now it's got to work hard to decipher, right, what it is and what it wants to take, get this chemical out, take all of this, and your body has stopped focusing on healing and now focusing on this food or chemicals that you're putting on your body, okay? You need live food, and I understand if you can just get a break for just a little bit and cook some good chicken and some good vegetables or good steak, or some type of meat, no carbs, vegetables, and things like that, you will feel so much better because you're putting real fuel in your body. You're not putting sugar in a gas tank, okay? Our bodies are made to run perfectly because that's how God created us, okay? Okay, so don't dump dead food on a tired body. But I get it. I was in that cycle too. You're just surviving at this point. But there is a way out. We need to get out of the crazy cycle. Okay, I think I said this earlier. I will agree that it is a collection of underlying issues. They all come from not just bodily stress, but also chemical, emotional, mental, and also spiritual issues. I had all of them. All of them. I will go into greater depth in my next video called The Perfect Storm Towards Adrenal Fatigue. I will go into my testimony of what the buildup was, my past, and how I had the perfect storm of adrenal fatigue. And I'm just going to tell you now, yes, it was having 4 babies in 5 years, accompanied with the spirit of fear. So that's what we're going to talk about in the next video that I do. So I'm so glad that you hung with me in this 30-minute video. I wasn't planning on being this long, but this is real. There is hope. You're not crazy, and there is a way out, and there's recovery. I would highly, highly, highly suggest that you find a doctor that completely understands what adrenal fatigue is and how to recover from it. It is vital for you and your family. It is vital, I'm telling you. I pray that you find this video comforting, and I pray that you find this video encouraging, and know that I am adrenal fatigue survivor, and there are lots of us out there. God bless you, and just know that you're not alone at this, okay? Bye.